DC has seen failure after failure, and fans aren't buying back into the universe they've taken and shredded by dropping fan-favorite actors, yet keeping extremely controversial ones. And to no one's surprise, Blue Beetle did poorly opening weekend, but it also has now had a very big second weekend drop. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media so you can see when my content is posted, and of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and live streams I create, consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or supporter via YouTube memberships. Now, I wanted to start off with the Screen Rant article, but it says Blue Beetle's 61% second weekend drop is better than Shazam 2 and The Flash, but the box office is still not great. Now, last week when we saw Blue Beetle release, the numbers were not good. It was just not a solid launch for them. It posted the second lowest DCEU opening weekend, and to top that off, Warner Brothers had suffered the worst ever DCEU superhero box office opening overseas, so it really didn't have a strong start. And of course, sometimes things can start slow but stay very steady. I didn't particularly see that happening with Blue Beetle because it wasn't a movie that had a lot of hype surrounding it. I never really saw anyone go, "Oh my god, I can't wait for this film, I'm so excited." Just not that genuine happiness when it comes to, wow, we're having another superhero movie release, because I do think that the fatigue is real. While I know that there are some people out there who think that it's only bad superhero movie fatigue, I think that at this point it's just superhero fatigue in general, because we are getting such few films that are good. But you also have to think, you know, it has had quite a bit of competition, because Oppenheimer and Barbie were still in theaters last week when it released, and they still are, but it didn't have anything that launched at the same time that it was directly competing against. So it technically, had every opportunity that it could have to succeed at the box office. But, well, unfortunately, it didn't hold, because Blue Beetle's 61% second weekend drop is not great. Now, this is actually a little bit surprising, because typically, when a movie opens to low numbers, and Blue Beetle definitely did, we don't see as large of drop-offs, because there weren't as many people going to see it first weekend, and then second weekend, you're not seeing, a massive amount of people deciding, I'm not going to go and see it, because when you start low, it typically is going to stay low, but a 61% drop is still very, very bad. So it says Blue Beetle is seeing a slight box office improvement for DC, but not by much. It says it opened in theaters on August 18th, and it introduces Blue Beetle to the roster of the franchise, which is in the middle of kicking off a new era. It comes smack dab in the middle of a low period for the brand, which has had several prominent box office disappointments in a row thanks to Black Adam, Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and The Flash. They are probably freaking out behind the scenes because The Flash was a failure. It did technically make back its budget, but it didn't do more than that. In films, we know need to at least make double what the budget was, and it did not. It barely surpassed that budget number. And I think that they were hoping Flash was going to do extremely well, and then something like Blue Beetle would at least do okay. And it does look like Blue Beetle is going to break its budget, but again, it doesn't seem like it's going to double its budget. It's got a 100 to a 120 million budget from what we've heard, and right now it has grossed 81 million worldwide, almost 82 million worldwide. But domestically, it's not doing great. Internationally, it's not doing great. It's not like it's doing fantastic in one specific market. But it also says for Variety, the Blue Beetle box office is currently projected for a 61% drop in its second domestic week, and it did update and say that that was actually the number. But it is a better drop than The Flash and Shazam, because Fury of the Gods had a 72.5%, and then Flash had a 69% drop. But these are still not good numbers. We are comparing awful numbers versus awful numbers. And I get it, when they have had failure after failure after failure, the lower the drop, it still looks better, and you do still have to go, well, it is technically better, but that doesn't really mean much when we're talking about a film that is failing, that is still ultimately doing very poorly. And, you know, it's too bad, right? Because this lead actor actually did a pretty good job with what he was given. The lead actor is not the problem. He is good at what he does, but the rest of the movie isn't good. And of course, it's not like he controls what the script says or, you know, what happens or the pacing. I mean, unfortunately, the DEI messaging severely hurted this film. And aside from the political messaging, I don't understand where or how this fits into the DCU, because they mentioned other characters that are from the start, like Superman and Batman. So where does this fit? They said that they were killing this continuum, yet have made The Flash. They made this, so who knows if they're actually letting it go or not. Sure, there's no cameos from the Snyder characters, but they're clearly referencing them. And I do think that that also is a reason why this film has failed, because people don't know what the fuck is going on. It is a clusterfuck behind the scenes. One minute they say they're dropping these characters, they're dropping the Snyderverse. Next minute they're, you know, putting out movies that reference these characters and reference the past. Like, they just can't decide what they're doing. And I know that they're not going to take time and think about it, but that's really what they should do. They need to take a couple of months. They really need to clear up what they want to do, where they want to go, because they also have something like Aquaman that's releasing in December, unless of course that release date gets pushed. So they're still putting out movies with these characters, and again, referencing these characters. And this movie could have been something if they didn't shove the DEI messaging into it, because again, the lead actor is pretty good, and the action in the movie wasn't half bad. If you simply wanted to watch a superhero movie for the action, you'd probably find some enjoyment in this, but the issue is the political messaging, and, you know, some of the pacing was off, and the universe and the continuum is a clusterfuck. It's sad to see so many movies release and do very poorly, and for, you know, so many failures to ultimately happen, because I love superheroes. I used to love the MCU, the DCEU. I used to have so much excitement when new films would come out, but unfortunately, when you're putting out, you know, bad to garbage tier, because you have had things like Shazam, which were just pretty trash, no one's gonna get excited, and that means your numbers are gonna go down, the interest is gonna go down. And, well, it does not seem like Blue Beetle was the hero they needed. The Flash wasn't even the hero they needed, because its 61% second week drop was better than Shazam 2 and The Flash. But that does not really matter, because the box office it was still a terrible situation for them overall. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.